Tim Petrowich for Dateline Marion, and we're visiting again with Marion head football coach Kerry Martin. We wrapped up the regular season last week, Coach. You did what you wanted to do. 57-14 win over Ridge South, and you got out early and stayed on top and really never let them get into the game.
That was you and I talked about that being important to get out to a good start. And when you're facing a team that's 1-7, you don't want to give them any momentum or any confidence. So I was proud of the kids to come out, get a stop, get down, get a score, and use both the run and the pass and a lot of different kids to get those 57 points.
One of the things that I observed as I went back and looked over the numbers, 9 different players ran the ball from scrimmage, 3 quarterbacks threw touchdown passes, and 8 different kids caught passes in the game.
Good.
So you used a lot of players in that game.
Yeah, I like that. I like to see a lot of kids get in on the action and see kids get in there and perform. And they practice hard every week, and it's just nice to be able to see them go out and do some things and let their parents see them play. And a lot of those kids are going to be kids we're going to rely on in the very near future, and many of them next year. So it was good to see them get into a ball game, a varsity game, and perform.
Something people are going to ask, I'm going to ask you about in just a minute, was the situation with Isaac. But when he got hurt and you brought in Jake, I heard the defense for Ridge South, they started saying, get ready for the run, get ready for the run. First 4 plays that Jake was in were passes, including the first one, which was a touchdown pass.
Yeah, I threw him in the fire a little bit because I have a lot of confidence in Jake, and I thought, well, they're going to see a backup quarterback. Well, let's throw it. And I gave him an easy throw, short throw, I should say, not an easy throw, but a short throw, and he hit it perfect. And then he came back and threw another pass in the next series, and so he was off to a great start. But I have a lot of confidence in Jake, and Isaac's been great working with him, and I think supporting his play, which, we talked early in the year about getting him in the game was important to me as far as getting him some experience in case we ever needed him. And I think that's paid off for us. I think it paid off on Saturday.
I think from what and maybe I'm wrong, but it seemed like that if need be, Isaac could have come back into the game Saturday. Is that the case?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there was no reason to take that risk and put him back in the game because at the time we didn't know if it was more serious, but as time went on, it was just a precautionary thing. But he should be fine this week, and he feels good, and he looked good in practice.
I was really impressed not only with the job that Jake did, but in the second half, you played David Fletcher the whole second half. Yeah. I think he was 3 for 4 and had a nice downfield touchdown pass too.
He did. He made a nice throw, and Malcolm Berry made an amazing catch, and it brought our fans to their feet and our sideline crazy. But David did a good job, and he'll do a good job. I think just like if Jake or whoever's the starter next year, I'll use the other one as on the field at times as well. I think it's important to get them on the field and get them playing time and get them a series or 2 or 3 during a ball game, and I think it'll pay dividends for you. Now, the way those kids work together, they're not going to mind that at all.
Early in the season, Jaden played some defense. He didn't play defense for a while. He came back in the secondary Saturday, had 2 interceptions, nearly had a third, ran one back for a touchdown. So now he's making big plays on offense and on defense.
Yeah, even better, right? No, yeah, you're right. I mean, he's just that kind of player, and he touches the ball, good things happen, and the good thing about it too is now he's, I think, attracting some attention, which is opening up some other people, and I think in the secondary he can make those same kinds of big plays.
The game I think may go unnoticed because I don't think he scored. But Hunter Milligan had a great game and on both sides of the ball. But he's usually pretty good on defense, but 2 nice long catches that got you down to the 1-yard line twice.
He is a good football player. He really is. I mean, I really like him. I like him as a player and as a person, and I like to watch him play. He's a tough kid. He's not real big, but he's a tough kid, and he has a nose for the ball, and he's a good receiver. And I know he's wanted to play receiver kind of all year anyway, and when Dylan went down, it kind of forced us to bring him in on the offensive side, but he does a really good job. I mean, I have a lot of confidence in him, and I love to say this because he's just a junior, so we got him back again.
And it seems like he's got some good hands. I think one of those catches, he had to go over top of a guy to get it. And then the same thing on his interception, too.
Yeah, I think as people watch him, I think we expect really big things out of him next year as a receiver. And I think with Jaden back and Hunter back at Y, I think we've got some really good receivers coming back for next year, along with some good running backs. And obviously we talked about Jake and David and some other quarterbacks. So we feel good about the future of the skill positions in our offense the next few years.
Did you really accomplish what you wanted to in this game? I mean, you knew that there was a possibility it could be a lopsided game like this, but you were able to work a lot of kids in on both sides of the ball, and you got to see some things too, right?
Yeah, we were able to get a lot of kids in. I like the way we executed. It's a good film to watch as far as looking for the little things and making sure we didn't score 57 points because our opponent wasn't very good. We scored 57 points because we executed the game plan. There's a difference, and I think we executed some nice screen passes. We made some nice down the field throws. I thought we ran the ball well. I think there were a lot of things we could really look at, and on defensively, I think our kids did a nice job of getting to the football and making plays on balls that were in the air, and that's something early in the season we struggled with. We were missing some jump ball situations and some balls that were kind of up for grabs, and now we're making some of those plays. So I felt like we were pretty physical on defense, which was a good sign.
Well, we have to talk about it now. It's the postseason. It's win or go home, and you've got an opportunity to play against a team that handed you one of your 3 defeats. You're going to Centralia Saturday, and this is kind of a game you were hoping you could get in the playoffs.
Well, I mean, if you're going to play a playoff game, for us being a 6-3 team, I mean, we felt like we could have had anybody on that board almost. I mean, there were a lot of teams we were familiar with and many we were not familiar with. We were looking at the prospect, Tim, of a long bus ride somewhere.
Right.
I mean, for a while on Saturday, everyone's telling us Lincoln Way West, which is probably a 6-hour bus trip. And then you're looking at the prospect of an overnight trip again, which we know the challenges that can bring. So to think we're getting a conference opponent an hour and 20 minutes away is probably better than getting a Lincoln Way West, who we know nothing about, 6 hours from home. So I think our fans will travel well. It's a team we know. The downside is, of course, they know us, and they're a good football team. I mean, Ray Collins, a great coach. They're a good football team with a great quarterback, and their defense is much more improved. So, but as far as looking at all the pros and cons of who you got to play, this isn't a bad draw for Centralia, and it's not a bad draw for Marion. I think it's a good matchup.
When you look at the last game that you played against them, 28-20 here, I looked at the stats, and you had nearly 400 yards in total offense, 17 first downs. You nearly matched them statistically on offense, but the defense manages 2 touchdowns, and you left a lot out on the field as far as opportunities. And I know you were disappointed in the way that game turned out, and especially disappointed in the way that everyone was prepared for that game and played that game. Now it's a chance for redemption. It
is. I mean, and that's the thing. I was more disappointed at the Centralia game than the Althoff game. The Althoff game, I felt like we didn't miss as many opportunities. We missed some opportunities against Centralia, and I continue to say this, but I give them credit for that. But we missed opportunities inside the 10-yard line. Down here at this end zone, we had a chance to score and didn't. And when you play a good team, you can't miss those opportunities. We get the ball down there with a final chance in the final play of the game, we miss an opportunity. I mean, when you play good teams, you can't let opportunities get away from you. And so we get a chance to come back and maybe play a little better and try to do better against this team than we did last time. Now, I guarantee you, Centralia will have a good game plan and ought to be a great matchup. But we feel like we've got some things that we left on the field. We'd like to have a chance anyway to redeem ourselves a little bit and get some satisfaction. So it's going to be a great challenge for us. We're excited about it. Our kids are excited, and we look forward to Saturday.
When I mention names like Rashad Campbell and Matisse Scott and things like that, I know it sends chills down your spine. And now here's another one, Javon Williams, who's just a sophomore, but he clearly controlled the game the last time. Now, he can run the ball, and then when you try to key on the run, he can stop and throw the ball, and he can do so many things. He just makes that offense go.
He does. He is a heck of a football player. It'd bad enough he was a senior and he was this good, but he's a sophomore and he's this good. That's really irritating. So, but you can always hope for transfer somewhere, or maybe his family will move. I don't know. But he's a good player, and I know Ray's got a lot of hopes for him, and I'm sure is thankful that he's got him for 2 more seasons after this one. But he's a weapon, and we'll have to get used to seeing him because he's going to be around for a while. He's a good football player. We have a a game plan to try to do better against him this time than last time, and he's a playmaker, like you said, through the air, with his legs. He can make a lot of things happen. I think he makes a lot of guys around him better.
And we talk about him on the offense and what he did, but one of the things that I observed, and we talked about this after that game, defensively, they disrupted you with a lot of things you tried to do, especially with the run game. They were able to fill the gaps and get to Braden and keep him from getting his big yards, keep Jaden from getting the big yards, and then Jaden got hurt in that game, didn't play the last quarter and a half. So, but they did a lot of things defensively that I think you have to overcome too.
They did. I mean, there's no doubt they played a great defensive game against us, and they shut down a lot of the things that we wanted to do. And I think from the beginning, since that ball game ended, I have said I give them a lot of credit for a great game plan, well executed. They were more physical than us, and those are things that we have to try to change. We got to do a better job with our blocking scheme up front. We got to do a better job in our play calling. We got to do a better job of our kids doing the little things, the first steps and down blocks, the things that you teach and preach every day. I didn't think we did real well that night. And if we can do those things better, I think we got a better chance at winning, but still doesn't guarantee anything. I mean, we know that we've got to come out and do those little things better and give ourselves a better chance, a better opportunity to come out on top.
The last game that you played them was senior night.
It was
homecoming.
It was.
We had all those motivational factors that you were kind of surprised that didn't sink into the kids.
No.
Win or go home would be a bigger motivator than those other ones, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be. I think, I mean, this is it. I mean, and you hope that senior night and homecoming would be a motivator. And I think we get too caught up sometimes in those things. I think sometimes those things are important in helping kids focus. But when it comes to a game, it ultimately rests on execution. And those motivations can help you in your preparation. It can help you get fired up for the game. But it comes down to execution. And execution is the accumulation of a bunch of little things done by 11 players on the snap of the ball and repeatedly doing that for 120 to 140 snaps in a game. They did that better than us last time. So what's the motivation now? Win or go home. I mean, if you want your season to continue and you want to be part of the Sweet 16 in Class 5A, you give it everything you've got. Look, we've approached it this way. We're 6-3, they're 8-1. They're a 6 seed, we're an 11. We're playing at their place. They've already beat us. We have nothing to lose. We're going to go out and try to play loose and play fast and play better than we did last time and may the better team win.
One of the things you've always talked about is that football isn't so much about size or speed or things like that. It's about matchups and how you match up against the other teams. And we haven't talked about that a whole lot this year. How do you match up with this Centralia team?
Well, I think we match up pretty well. I mean, I don't know how. I mean, people look at, when you look at a quarterback like they've got, I mean, I don't know if matchups matter when you've got a kid that he's going to be good against anybody. But when I talk about matchups, I talk about there are teams out there in 5A that are 6'7", 300 pounds across the board, across the front, playing in double tight power offenses. Not a good matchup for us, and we know that. We're not very big on defense. We would rather play someone more in a, kind of a, we're probably a little better against spread sets than we are power sets, though we've had some success against power teams before. But I guess my point is it is about matchups, and it is about where you're strong personnel-wise. Are they strong on defense against those positions? You get the right matchup where their strengths are your strengths, that's great for you. But at the same time, if they're strong in a spot where you're weak, it could be a problem for you. And so I feel like in the first ball game, the two teams matched up pretty well, I think, in that regard. And I don't think there's a massive speed or size advantage for either team. I think scheme-wise, there's some similarities. We're both shotgun spread teams. So I think there's some similarities between us. I think there's size and speed similarities. So I just think it's going to come down again to execution on this particular Saturday afternoon.
And it is a Saturday afternoon, 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock.
One of the most exciting types of high school football is Saturday afternoon football in November.
It is.
Or October 31st.
Close, yeah. It's a great time of year. We feel privileged again to be a part of the postseason, we tell our kids all the time, it's great to get in, it's better to win. And we want to get in and now win some ball games and make something happen with this opportunity and get as far as this football team can get. And that's our challenge on Saturday.
It's Marion head coach Kerry Martin. The Wildcats and the Centralia Orphans this Saturday at 1 o'clock in Centralia, first round of the Class 5A playoffs. For Dateline Marion, I'm Tim Petrowich.